Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies both new and old with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's absolutely right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we have decided to make this here episode a drinking game.
Was that a silent bottle opener?
Yeah, it was a silent bottle opener, John.
Hopefully the mic picked it up.
We try to keep it positive, people, and to keep us accountable. Anytime we say something negative or stupid or mean-spirited about this here film or any other film or each other's face, you're going to hear this sound. And that sound means that we need to take a drink. And we hope you at home drink along with us.
So pour yourselves a glass and then come out the back and get us out of the doghouse because we're recording this on Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh, we're drinking alone on Valentine's Day.
The
How
boys
sweet.
are in the doghouse.
The boys. People.
Sorry, ladies. Sorry to all of our significant
others.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You knew what this was.
So we here on Valentine's Day are recording a podcast about Nightmare Alley, directed by Guillermo del Toro. A movie that redefines what I thought the word geek meant. That's for sure.
Yes, there's definitely more than one meaning to that.
Yeah. On a podcast where we test whether or not we can get Dave to get the shut-eye. Trying to get Dave the old shut-eye so he can go all white rabbit on us. We are talking about Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley, which we have to say last week was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture of the Year. Possibly helped by the fact that there are like 75 films nominated for Best Picture. Sorry, it's just 10. But Best Picture nominee, Nightmare Alley. We're talking about it right here. And if you are new to this podcast and you're like, whoa, how did I start this podcast? Not only are we going to be spoiler free for 10 or 15 minutes or so we can tell you what we thought of the film and perhaps recommend whether or not you go see it. But as of this moment, this is one of the only films I've ever seen available for free on 2 different streaming platforms 2 months after it came out. What the fuck? I don't know if Hulu and HBO Max didn't talk to each other. Were their deals non-exclusive? Are they in a threesome? I don't understand why Disney and HBO, who are fierce fucking competitors right now, allowed that to happen. But it is great for us, and that's all that really matters, right?
They probably just went, holy fuck, we released it the same weekend as Spider-Man. We only made $9 million. We need to get this out to as many people as possible.
That's so this definitely also the Omicron surge that also
I don't really know if you can blame that considering the sheer numbers that went and saw Spider-Man that same weekend.
I think people were willing to get Omicron for Spider-Man and not West Side Story,
we should start a
Licorice
survey.
Pizza, Belfast, actually literally any other movie that came out in December.
I looked into it because I was like, did somebody fuck up? Did they do this on by accident? And this was originally supposed to be a limited release released on December 3rd. And Disney apparently had such faith in the movie that they went, no, we'll put it on December 17th in a wide release.
Yeah.
The same weekend that Spider-Man opens.
Yeah, I always thought they would
don't get that.
I always thought they would do the premiere right before the release, so that at least even if it's a limited release, just so that you can get some momentum. Not that people pay attention to that kind of shit anymore, but this premiered on December 1st, and then it came out December 17th. I've seen posters for this all over New York City for 3 months. I couldn't have guessed when this came out. I was driving and I saw it come out in January somewhere else. So anyway, this was a bomb at the box office. Its $60 million budget became a $30 million loss until 2 streaming services might have made up the difference. Who knows? This, of course, stars Bradley Cooper, who helped produce the film. He was the lead producer on the film. Bradley Cooper cast himself. He knew exactly where to go for talent. And then you have Rooney Mara, Cate Blanchett. What the fuck are you laughing at? Toni Collette.
You knew exactly where I had to go to talent.
Oh, nice. Thanks. Willem Dafoe, Richard Jenkins, Ron Perlman, Mary Steenburgen. Hello. Have you heard of these people? Tim Blake Nelson, who I was waiting for well over 2 hours for him to make his appearance in this movie. And of course, well, I already said her, but Guillermo del Toro and Bradley Cooper are not stupid. They have a quote-unquote horror movie. I put quotes up for reasons. A quote-unquote horror movie in which they need somebody to mourn their dead husband. So what do? They cast Toni Collette. What else would you do? We need somebody to mourn the loss of a husband. Is Toni Collette available?
Toni Collette's
we have money
real.
to spend. That is her. So funny.
She's
And
a
this
Black
is
Widow
based.
film.
This is, well, actually, I usually send it over to our sponsors, but I'm feeling it, guys. I'm feeling it here. So this is based on the 1946 novel of the same name, which was adapted into the 1947 film of the same name, which I should say right off the bat, since this was in the New York Times article about Nightmare Alley, the director, Edmund Goulding, really loved to host bisexual orgies. That was in the New York Times description of this.
I'm not buzzing that.
And so there you go. Tyrone Power. Maybe that's where he got cast. Who the fuck knows? We'll never know. 1947. And before we say anything else about it, John, you want to shout our people out? Shout out our
The
sponsors?
poor
Sure.
people who've tuned in are like, yeah, there's no spoilers, but fucking hell, it got weird in the first 5 minutes.
It did get weird. You know what? The movie's weird, so we'll get there in a little bit. We have a couple sponsors. The first one is Carlos Barroso. He makes the beer. We used to drink it. I don't drink it ever anymore, and I'm very sad about it, but Dave and Jeff do sometimes.
Yes.
If you want to go and follow him, the guy is on Instagram, cbarroso.beer, CBARROZOBEER. There's a .beer in there somewhere. .beer, folks. And if you're digging the music on this episode and every single fucking episode is provided by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. Head on over to soundcloud.com/Dasein-artist and you can download the music for free. So do it. Make your life better. Download that music and enjoy yourself. Do you hear my dog?
No.
Do you hear my dog?
We
No,
can
I
hear the
didn't hear
dog.
Oh, you can?
Dogs are welcome.
She's like, "Arr." Yeah,
We're in the
she has
zoo.
opinions about Guillermo del Toro's most recent feature.
Is she a medium? I'm feeling a J. This movie really ruined it for mediums, right? They totally gave away all the secrets.
I don't know. I feel like some of those were already out there.
I don't know. I feel bad. Now mentalism, like I'm never going to be able to buy it from now on, you know?
Look, where do we begin, you guys? Do you want to just hit it with some first impressions? I feel like you set it up really well. I think most people, sadly, have still not seen this movie.
Yeah.
That's probably
So I really
true.
do think we're probably talking to an audience that mostly has not seen it. And you know what? We hadn't seen it yet either. So
Yeah,
I think I watched it 2 weeks ago and told you guys. And if I'm being honest, you guys, I watched it because I thought we were doing it 2 weeks ago.
what?
It was one of those that I wanted to watch eventually, and I
You weren't
just
even
didn't feel
around
the
2 weeks ago.
urgency.
You didn't even do that
Last
episode.
week, I watched it 2 weeks ago because I thought we were doing it last week.
Oh,
So,
well, great.
right. So I'm just saying it's one of those movies that, like a lot of these, like you said, Jeff, a lot of these movies that could wait to watch at home kind of thing. You know, I think a lot of us are guilty of just putting it on the back burner and not really getting to it.
Especially when you're flicking through stuff and you're like, 2.5 hours. Who the fuck has that right now?
You know, you got to say it. You got to say it. It's the truth.
Is it a long runtime?
It's 2.5
Dude,
it's 2.5
solid
hours.
230,
Yeah.
dude. You're
2.5.
exactly right. Not that. Well, anyway, let's hit it. I'm going to pimp you out, Jeff. You never go first. What was your first impression, dude?
So
First thoughts.
I went in with mixed feelings about it because one co-host of mine had mixed feelings about it. So I was like, all right, well, you know, here's what I'll say right off the bat. I did like it. I'm not going to say it was too long, but the movie really, like, the best parts of the movie start right around an hour 45. So I'm really sorry to like lead with that for our people listening.
That was the best avoidance of a buzzer I think I've ever heard on this show.
Did I avoid it? Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you know what?
I'd be happy for people to go see this movie, but here's what I will say really quick. I think the title threw me. And I know it's based on a book and another film. And I had actually already heard this Tim Blake Nelson interviewing Guillermo del Toro about the film. And I actually listened to it, and it didn't really spoil much, I guess, because the movie kind of works in a circle, which we'll get to after the spoiler section. But they were talking about, they were like redefining what a noir was, or at least Guillermo del Toro is like a noir just means that time period in black and white with voiceover. It's a style, but it's not like, it doesn't have to be just like an urban cop, you know, like there is a lot of crossover and also fatalism, right? And so, but Nightmare, I was waiting for more Nightmare stuff. So I was like, it's not really a thriller. It's not horror. It's not that scary for like a while into it. You know, it's creepy, but it took me a while to kind of settle into like the mood and the tone of this. And then when it did, it dragged a little bit, but I think ultimately I'm really glad about it. And I have been thinking about it, but it was a little bit of a journey. That's how I'll start.
Did you feel that way? And then we'll move on to Dave, but did you feel that way after they said, I don't know when that happens, but whenever he's explaining whenever Willem Dafoe is explaining something we'll get to in the spoiler section, and he references Nightmare Alley. That happens about 30 or 40 minutes in.
It's probably like
Were you
40,
still
45
kind of
minutes in.
thinking maybe this movie will bring that in sooner? Or because at that point I was like, okay, I think this is a title in the distance of the meaning of the movie kind of thing. Like it's probably going to wind up in that world at some point. So I kind of let it go when I got there, but it still took 30 or 40 minutes for them to have that conversation.
I'm not saying I'm watching it being like, where's the nightmare? But it was just kind
I
of
know
like,
what you mean.
It was just kind of like a carny flick. And also like Bradley Cooper, all the blurbs are like, guy down on his luck joins the circus. And I was like, I never really doubted Bradley Cooper at the beginning. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I always assumed he was going to succeed. Now I know there's a lot more to that, but like, I wasn't watching this nervously. I wasn't watching this afraid like I did with Pan's Labyrinth and even the fish fucking movie. There were some times in there I was like, I don't know. I'm kidding. The Shape of Water, people. The only movie to win the Oscar when someone fucks a fish. And I think like...
That's a very niche category.
So
the only other one really is Splash, and that ain't winning shit.
I was going to say, it's Splash didn't win the Oscar.
So anyway, it didn't keep me on my toes, but I was intrigued by it, and the cast, the way it looked, like obviously it was great, and maybe I will rewatch it when I have 2.5 hours and nothing else to watch, but we'll see. Anyway, enough about me. What do you guys think? Dave.
Oh my god! I mean,
it's good though. People should see it.
Yeah. I'll start this off with, this is not a horror film, and they build it as a horror film, and it's not. It has a sense of burning tension, and it's almost like a thriller. It reminded me a lot in pacing and of like LA Confidential.
Yeah.
Especially in style as well. There's a lot of stuff I love about this. Does it deserve a Best Picture nomination? I will say absolutely upfront, yes, it does.
Nice. There you go.
Yes, it does. Because this is a major technical achievement in creating a motion picture. Is it flat-ass boring at times? It's that too, yes.
Buzzed himself there, folks.
Yeah.
My finger was going for it, and he had already done it.
Yeah, I got the quick draw buzzer tonight. Yeah, it takes so long to get to something like. I feel like the first hour of this, like the carnival stuff. Do you feel like that would have worked better as flashbacks, interspersed through the story, or was it better for the journey to just make you sit through all that so that when we got to, because I felt really disjointed when they jumped, which we'll get to later.
Knowing what Guillermo wanted to do, I don't think it would have worked as flashbacks because it's supposed to be a circle. Not that I know anything. I just listening to one interview. I don't know who he is or what he wants and why he likes to fuck fish. But like I just think that he wants the movie to be a circle. So I don't think it would work as flashbacks. But I'm kind of with you where I'm very curious as to what that would have been like.
I'll tell you though, if you love like scene composition and cinematography, like there is love in every frame of this. This is a movie to watch. The palette, the color palette is amazing. Yeah. Like every red is a very similar, the same red. The brown green thing really worked for me. Like it normally, like if you're not going to go black and white, brown and green is the next best thing I've now discovered.
All right, John.
And also,
what do you think?
it would be the highlight of my career to be punched out by Ron Perlman. Can I just say?
Right.
I know. Yeah, that was really sweet. Just having some of the casting choices in general were really fun. Ron was one of them for sure.
This was Ron's idea in 1993, I think. Guillermo said Ron was the one who said Nightmare Alley is a thing you should see. There's a book and it's noir. You like noirs. And they couldn't get it because it was on VHS and it just like was not around. So like Guillermo like spent years. He read the book first because he couldn't get the movie. But anyway, long story short, Ron Perlman was like, I want to be the Bradley Cooper role. Little did he know what his future would be, but
he got to punch him instead.
Yeah. Sorry, Joe.
He was still working in France then. Yeah, I agree with what you both have said. Definitely for the way it looks and feels, tonally, cinematographically, production design. If you are a sucker for circus movies, this is one of them for sure. I think you're just going to enjoy living in that world. The world's fleshed out. There's a lot of faces that you really, really, really recognize. And I kind of wish I didn't recognize so many people. Like, I think it may have been a little bit more fun to not see Willem Dafoe. And I hear myself saying that. I can't believe I'm saying that. I just don't know if I needed to see a giant, well-known actor. And honestly, in most of these roles, I think that was something that was a little distracting for me. Was
I'll
that
fight you for Cate
I kept
Blanchett.
thinking, I mean, of course, dude. Like Cate is, but even we'll get there a little bit
given
later.
where that goes, Willem Dafoe probably, you could have had.
And I would
else.
imagine
Not
that's
that
what
he
you're saying. Is
sucked at
like
all.
when we've no. Of course, they're all great. So as many things that I really enjoyed about the way this film felt, and anyone who listens to this podcast and these two dudes will probably know that like that is probably the most important thing to me. Like tone and mood are gonna and an ending are gonna be what I love the most. We'll get to that later. The thing that did not work for me for this film was, which I would say exists in really successful noirs, and that's why noir is I think such a difficult genre to play as an actor, to direct, to write. If you don't have an overwhelming sense of urgency that is driving your protagonist to more doubt, it feels a little boilery, where you're kind of just sitting there in that space of the tone, but there isn't enough momentum to take you into more skepticism and like doubt for every meeting that he has, every scene that unfolds. You should be a little bit more on the edge of your seat. And if I'm being totally honest, I think it may be in the edit. I just don't think they cut this to have enough urgency. I think the work was there. I think they looked great. I think the writing was probably there. I would love to have just sat down with them in the editing room and just been like, I'm just curious, why did you hang on that moment so long? Why did you hang on that reaction so long? Maybe not reaction, because you want reactions for good noir cutting. But overwhelmingly, there was a lack of urgency in my mind, except for when Richard Jenkins was on the screen. I think that's just, that man just understood what to do. I think they cut correctly around him. And a lot of those moments with him were the only times that I felt uncomfortable. Now, again, that's in the writing. They want you to feel that way. He's the big boss, right? We were coming to that point. We didn't know what he was capable of. We eventually learned he was capable of really terrible things. So you're always a little nervous when you're around him. But for a protagonist in a noir, Bradley Cooper's character felt a little too in control for me throughout. And I think that's very important in this genre, that your protagonist should be very confused and more out of control the deeper they get into their saga.
I agree.
And I just didn't feel that.
He got too good too fast. Like there was no passage of time versus like how fast he picked up on the talent like that he acquired.
He built that machine that he built, that he designed for Rooney Mara. He built that in like 2 days.
Also, can I just say,
and they even comment on it, right? They're like, "Did you?" He's like, "No, that's all bullshit." But he still built it.
Can I also say, big fan of Rooney Mara's work in everything, and this is no exception.
Everything.
This is no exception at all.
Absolutely.
She's so grounded, and you really feel for, which we'll get to later.
All right. So before we send people away and we really dive into this,
we'll get to it later.
So what is the pitch to recommend this to people? So I was like, if you have to, I'm kind of joking, but like, I am really glad I saw this, but I also find it, my parents asked to watch a movie and I'd already seen this and I didn't recommend this. Like, what does it take? Like, what is it to recommend this movie? Because it's great. Is it just like if you want to watch a brilliant piece of filmmaking where the director loves every frame of this movie?
Watch it
I don't
tonight.
know, man. Honestly,
watch it tonight. Make out in the slow bits.
I'll tell that to my parents, Dave. I'll tell that to my parents.
If you enjoy,
Happy Valentine's Day, Mom and Dad.
Happy V-Day, everybody. We're in the doghouse. If you like the period, sure, you're probably gonna enjoy. It's beautiful. It's sensuous. You really feel like you're there in a lot of ways. If you like the circus, you're there. If you like detective stories, just in general, I wouldn't say this is a traditional detective story, but there is a mysterious element that belongs in that noir place. So maybe you'll cling on to that. But if someone were to tell me, if I'm just being honest here, if somebody were to say, John, I'm looking for a good noir, or John, I'm looking for a really good movie from this year, I don't know if this would be in my top list of suggestions. I don't think it would be off the list, But I think there are movies that I would recommend over this one. If somebody was saying, I never watch movies, I've got a free night. What do you think?
I've just
Don't know if
realized
Nightmare Alley is going to be at the top of my list.
this is billed as noir, and you see either a detective or the police like once in the entire film.
That's what I was saying at the
It's
beginning.
missing
He
a
was
whole
like,
side of what is
he was
normal.
like, it's just the time period and there's fatalism. That's it. Everything else, he was like, yeah, I'll do a play on the noir. But yeah, but you're right, because he did shoot it like it would be terrifying. Like would be. Yeah, I guess. Do you think Bradley? I know we should be sending people out, but really quick, do you think Bradley Cooper as the lead? Because all the supporting characters were phenomenal. He's the centerpiece, and everybody's off center in some way, like kind of with a magnet towards him. So I think it is shot pretty well with that, like first person point of view, pretty well. Also, Guillermo mentioned like he doesn't want to shoot Bradley Cooper's face until he's pretending to be successful. So you can you almost don't buy it because like at the beginning, his first line, you don't see his face. He's in mirrors as much as possible, like. I don't know if that ultimately did anything psychologically for me, but he is the lead of this movie, and he definitely was going in the I'm keeping a secret. Like he did the actor's secret thing the whole time. But you're right. I wonder if like the life and death, I wonder if we felt that more. I wonder if we would have felt differently about the film.
Mm.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's kick these people out of here. Come back and see us and listen to the rest of it. No spoilers, because
it's Guillermo. Just watch the movie for Guillermo.
I hope everyone remembers who listens. I love Guillermo del Toro. Like I don't want to sound like I was being negative here. So give it a shot if you like Guillermo. I still think it's worth watching. I just think I wouldn't be surprised if you felt like I did. But that's still not a good enough excuse not to see it, and especially if it's fucking free on Hulu and HBO.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourselves
And nominate for Best Picture. Like that's an achievement.
Great cast.
Yes. And there's like
really
7 massive stars in this that do really good work. So if you love acting too, you're going to enjoy watching these people play this genre. I don't think I've seen most of them play in this genre. So that was really fun.
Willem has been dancing around this. He's accepted that this is who he is.
Yeah.
This is sort of like a cross between The Lighthouse and
Let's kick this off. Let me kick this off. My standout performance, and then I want to hear y'all's. David fucking Strathairn. I loved him in this movie, dude. I don't know if you guys agreed,
of course.
I almost wanted to flash back into his prime. I think his character was my favorite. Just talking about how we get there, developing the trick, the method, whatever the word he used for their code that they spoke to each other on to create the whole mentalist act. Thought that was really fascinating. And the character was so integral because David Strathairn's character plants the notion that is the rest of the movie. Do not do the evil mentalism.
Yeah.
Don't tell people that you're messing with actual fortune telling. Don't do it. You're going to start believing in yourself. And I thought he really pulled off the monologue.
That was great.
That actually,
I thought that whole scene really worked for him.
Steaming pile of foreboding, and he nailed it.
And it really,
I think so too,
it really made Bradley Cooper's performance better later on. And I don't say like Bradley Cooper was great because he played to the script. I'm saying David Strathairn was so good that when Bradley Cooper started doing all of the things, it was so easy to make that connection. Like, oh yeah, fuck, he said that. Like he sold it. He did his job.
And I don't know how bound. I haven't seen the movie even, and I definitely haven't read the novel, the original movie. So. Maybe I'm wrong by saying this, but I think we can all agree, and everyone out there in the fun film fan world could agree, that everybody involved with this project knows how to make excellent movies. So it's I kind of feel like we're mostly going to be dissecting the writing, just because if something isn't working with these geniuses, everybody here is a fucking 10, then there's probably an issue with story. And I think one thing that I began to think about, which is always a bad sign when you get really conscious, I was really on board with what was happening in this film up until David Strathairn planted that seed. And then I couldn't stop thinking that Bradley Cooper's character didn't think about it ever again. There were a couple times where he was reminded of it by other characters that they were uncomfortable that he was going that route. And I understand, I guess, dramaturgically why a protagonist might be in total denial and they're going to go balls to the wall and just go 100% until it's way too late. But I still think that there may have been something really full of conflict if he had also listened to David Strathairn very seriously and would have been scared of his success and would have had a fear factor in an internal thing, because I felt like internally he had no conflict about it.
I feel like they half leaned into that, to be honest. Like they said, they planted the seed, and then it just literally within 20 minutes, it cut to him doing exactly what he told him not to do, essentially. And there was no easing into it. It's like, okay, we're here, now we're here. And he's just done this thing. And he's done it with, like, he basically did what he was told not to do, and it worked out. So now he's all arrogant about it. And that was, like, it kind of made that speech a little cheap for me. I have a question about the very beginning. Because the movie starts with him dragging a body across the floor and putting it in a hole in the floor and then burning the house down. Why did he put that body in a hole if he was going to burn the house down?
I thought that too. I'm buzzing you, but I thought that too. I buzzed myself too.
Yeah.
I thought that too.
That bugged me.
That, like,
that bugged me for like
fiery grave kind of thing.
I will say it. Sorry, I feel bad when I listen to podcasts and then like I quote the directors when I'm saying something not entirely positive, but he did essentially say, because he worked on the script with his now wife Kim Morgan, although when they started developing it, they were business. I forget their exact professional relationship, but now they're married. And he essentially was like, you don't want to trust him right off the bat. So it's kind of like the Willy Wonka thing, right? Like you want to know right off the bat that he's a liar, which I didn't actually get off the bat. I just kind of got like, he had some shit in his past, but he was like, I want you to know that he's a liar from the beginning, because we believe his morality until we see it turn, but we shouldn't have in the first place. And I'm kind of with you now, Dave, because then it gets you into things like that, where I know that's not how we should be watching the movie, but sometimes you can't help yourself and go, did they just do that to be clever? And he might have done that to be clever.
maybe, yeah.
Also, just visual effects wise, maybe it would have looked different on a large screen, but I didn't think that house was burning for 1 second. That fire looked very, very CGI fire to me. So as beautiful as the actual production design was of this film, that was one of the biggest special effects, and I didn't believe one moment of it.
Was it a dream thing? Like I'm so curious about much of this.
No, that was for real. It
was real,
right?
but did they film it like a nightmare? Did they film it like it was a flashback or something? Like, is that why it was bizarre and slow paced, almost as if they shot it in like a weird frame rate or something? I don't know. It's curious.
Did you guys also think about, going off that question, did you also think like, where's the voiceover? Like the part of it, because it's such a staple of noir.
Because he intentionally just said noirs are voiceover, so therefore no, yeah.
Sometimes I wonder in really good noirs if there's a reason why that we're supposed to have some doubt of our character. Like the person telling us the story, we're not supposed to trust them. And I felt like there was such a sincerity behind the camera that I was a little, I don't know. Again, I kept thinking about the ingredients of the genre, which is not a good thing. The performances were captivating, but it did make me wonder, like, what kind of movie is this? Like, I just kept trying to understand what they were doing.
One of the most famous noirs, Blade Runner, cut the voiceover, and it seemed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's true. And that's like a total like neo noir and meets sci-fi. And you're right. I think everyone agrees the two versions of Blade Runner.
We start asking questions that we shouldn't ask, and whether that's fair or not, that's just like that's just what happens. Like, you can't help it.
I mean, it's almost like they set him up to be bad at the beginning, and then they give him this little moment of triumph, and then he fucks that up. It kind of reminded me of a little bit of like Breaking Bad. Like every season in Breaking Bad, you got Walter, like White starts off as like he's bad, and then he starts doing some stuff where you're like, oh, he might redeem himself, he might get out of this time, and he just fucks it up every time and goes right back down the rabbit hole. And it kind of reminded me of that sort of thing. But this guy, like, it never really got to the point where, except for maybe once, where you were like cheering for him. I don't know. He never climbed out of sleazebag villain for me.
I kind of don't want noir protagonists to necessarily do that, but you can't sit in that place where I think I understand you. Yeah. If we're going to keep you in that place where we're unsure of your capacity for evil, violence, virtue, and you're kind of all over the place, you have to keep me guessing. And I guess I kind of felt like
there also kind of has to be a standard. Like you got to have a benchmark there somewhere. There has to be a character who's the benchmark. And apart from maybe Rooney Mara's character, there wasn't one.
And the benchmark of morality or virtue?
Yeah, pretty much.
I wish they let Rooney Mara be more of an equal share of that central line. I wish he got in there a little bit more. They kind of, I know that what it does to the character, just saying it out loud, like Bradley Cooper essentially like shut her in their apartment. Like, we only saw her either at the show or in their home. For, they didn't like go out together. It was always Bradley Cooper that we followed. I kind of wish she was a part. I wish. I'm not saying they had to be in love or anything, but I do wish maybe she could have had an effect. But I guess as soon as she stepped aside, we got some Cate Blanchett, so they severed that.
I
don't
feel
know.
like she was meant to feel thrown away at this point.
Yeah.
And then of course, Cate Blanchett comes waltzing on screen, and like the first time you see her, you got that like the god rays of light and stuff, and it was like the perfect way to reveal that character, to be honest. And that wasn't a special effect either. Kate has a light that follows around like that. So.
Her and Toni Collette actually should play sisters in a movie. They look so much like each other. I'm looking at their pictures on IMDb
I'm trying
right
to think,
now.
has that happened?
Yeah, Kate was very good. Was that the part? I'm curious, Jeff, or which one of you said it got good like an hour 40 in?
For me, it was awkward, and I'm exaggerating because there was very interesting stuff. I know interesting is like a non-description, but there was really curious. There were things that were keeping me curious, especially the carnival stuff, especially the characters. I feel like all of the characters really were helpful for me. Like everything Willem Dafoe said kept me more engaged. There wasn't a single scene that he had where I was kind of like, oh, they're just having coffee and talking about shit. Like every time I saw him, and of course the way he does it so casually, it's like and captivating. So then when the geek stuff comes back later, I'm like, oh, and I know that's it's almost so obvious. That's why I love the actor, because for me, I was just like, all right, Willem, whatever you say. And then later they're like, oh yeah, I should have seen that foreshadowing, but all I cared about was Willem because he was so good. And of course, Toni Collette, same thing with. I hate Taro. Just for some reason, it's not something I connect with. But her, I was like, she just hit the sweet spot. Everybody down the line, I thought. I was definitely kept, but basically right before the Mary Steenburgen gunshot scene, that was the one where I was like,
that was a good one, yeah.
I thought that was great. So like the couple minutes leading into that where you realize he's going to meet the old man, because honestly at that point I was like, I hope he fucks this up, because I'm ready for like he's either got to nail it or fuck it up. I'm ready for like yes or no, like life or death stakes, not like
I was sitting there going, no, this is fucking going wrong. This is going horribly wrong.
So right around there till the end of the movie. Well, to pretty much the end of the movie, that was like the feeling that I was hoping I would get out of the movie, and I got it. I just had to wait for it a little bit longer.
I think the thing I like the most of Cate Blanchett's performance is when she was playing almost like it was a little bit of a psychiatrist thing, and then she kind of started turning the screws on him a bit, and she was like, you have to sit through these therapy sessions, and she went from the dame in a detective noir to quid pro quo Hannibal Lecter in like the fucking blink of an eye. And you saw her face change.
Folks, we just had a weird dropout. Cate Blanchett's face, that's where we're picking up. Let's just pause for just 1 second because our weird recording issue.
Yeah, Cate Blanchett's face was so severe it stopped our recording.
I mean, as soon as we talked about Cate Blanchett, the system just went like, it was like a fucking fembot exploding.
That's why we're saying Cate Blanchett as much as possible. We're just doing a little stress test on the system. I think we're back.
So Dave, you were praising Cate Blanchett.
I was.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it was just like I said, the performance where she went from like, I might be just innocent to I'm going to fucking eat you in the space of like half a second. You literally saw her face change.
She knew that we were going to assume the worst.
I was going to say, I don't think I ever assumed that Cate Blanchett is totally innocent.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all. But like when you saw the claws, like the claws dig in, was the moment that I loved in that whole performance. Like even bigger than the reveal. You literally saw her like lean in, and her like she almost became shark-like.
The final one she does. The final.
Yeah, and I love that it ends.
Shit.
Yeah, I love that it ends with her in total control. But again, just to clarify, Jeff, that's the moment you're talking about, right? When she stands up at the show, and that's when it really turned for you, like when we jump to the forward part and Bradley Cooper and Rooney are running their show.
I think that's what Dave said. I think he said once Cate Blanchett came in, it sent the movie off to the. For me, it was a little bit later. For me, it was a little.
I think it would have been really interesting if they had considered restructuring this so that the movie took place in the present with some kind of flashbacks or references to how they got there, and created a little bit more mystery in the past, so that the mystery of the prophecy by David Strathairn would not have been a proclamation. It would have been some prophecy or something that we don't talk about anymore. We don't think about that. Like they could have used it as some way to propel them forward, as opposed to honestly, it was just something that felt ignored.
Well, that
felt
whole,
ignored.
that whole section where it cuts to him in the ballroom after they run away from the circus, that felt really jarring to me, and I spent about 10 minutes recovering from it because, like, from a film perspective, because they literally just went from "we're going to run away" to "now we're famous" and performing for the rich. And I would have liked even a montage in there just to show him climbing the ranks a little bit. It just felt really jarring from a narrative point.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
That pulled me out.
And I'm just sitting here, guys. I'm just sitting here hitting the brakes. I'm just waiting for us to move forward toward the ending. But I think I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off.
Do it.
That last moment did not work for me at all. I feel like the whole final sequence. If we were, again, Jeff already said it, like, there's clearly some foreshadowing. So I'm not frustrated that the foreshadowing was intentionally indicative. Where, by the way, I looked up the definition for geek, and the second definition in the dictionary, Webster's, is a performer at a carnival or circus whose show consists of bizarre or grotesque acts. So, yeah, like you, I had no idea that was a thing, but the movie was so effective with the way it opens with Bradley Cooper observing the act by the geek. And then at some point, 20 minutes later or so, Willem Dafoe, the ringleader of that particular carnival, explains to him how you find a geek. And that's a really engaging story about how he takes usually veterans, usually people who had enormous amounts of PTSD before they knew what that was. They were severe alcoholics. He gets them addicted to drugs, usually opium, and then he's got them. Then he can turn them into these monsters who are willing to do anything until they die.
I'm glad they spent so much time on that because, like, that did make it resonate a little bit when you realize, like, it wasn't so much us realizing what was happening to him; it was him realizing what was happening to him, and that got me a little bit.
I know.
Okay, at the ending, I feel like, are you saying the ending got you when Bradley Cooper started turning?
Just a little bit when he realized that, like, we had a shared realization that he was getting the spiel. This is where he was heading. That got me a little bit. But again, it did fall short.
I like the laugh because he was like, "Yeah, of course I'm here," and you know what? I think he earned it enough.
I mean, it's the only place he could have ended up, to be honest.
No. Narratively, I'm not frustrated. Like, it was inevitable. I know this is being really picky, but I wish he had not said, "I've been preparing for this my entire life," or "I've been waiting for this my entire life."
Yeah.
I was born for this.
I was born for this. I feel like we already knew. Everyone already knew. That thing I always say about, like, we caught up. We were all there. There was no new information delivered, so we had already passed the button. And then they just said that, and I don't know, especially because for me, I feel like as soon as that new carnival leader said, "I do have something though. I do have a position, but it's only temporary." Blackout.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as they got there, we all assumed he was going to say that.
You're absolutely right.
I don't know.
I
think it's film nerdy too. I think the average theater goer would be like, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe
cut back to a reaction of Bradley Cooper
HBO
realizing
cable shows.
Fuck.
The original film had this ending with a different word. It wasn't born. It was a different word. And I think the book did not have it. So now there's like this, I think sometimes when you do these old things, does it matter if you have the same last line? You know what I mean? But that's like something that
he did say that, like, this wasn't a remake. It was a reimagining.
Yeah. Did you hear that too? That's funny. He was like, you don't remake Macbeth.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
But yeah, it's interesting.
So you liked it, Jeff? Are you saying you liked the "I was born for this"?
Yeah, because I was like, where are we going with this? And then he got it. And I actually, I liked it. I liked it because he got there from a different reason than the other guys. The other guys were actual addicts. So yes, I know Bradley Cooper was drinking alcohol, and I would love to sit there and be like, it was lame that all of a sudden they got him drinking alcohol just to become a geek. Like, in 2 minutes, he went from, here's my first scotch in 20 years to I'm a geek now because I'm an addict or whatever, which maybe he was. I don't know. Maybe Bradley Cooper was an addict, but he probably wasn't. Maybe it was just his dad. But I liked it that it almost seemed like Bradley Cooper got there because of capitalism, because he's a guy that should be in jail. And it's like, fuck. Like, I was shitting on these people for being down on hard times, for being like losers. And me, I'm not necessarily that kind of loser. I don't know. That was my interpretation of it. That was just what I needed to get me to laugh. I'm not even saying that that's exactly what Bradley Cooper was thinking. But for me, I saw that glimmer in his eye and I was like, oh, he's kind of like, I'd rather be there than in prison or something. Because this movie's about capitalism. We haven't really talked about that, but it's very much like, you get sucked in. People are in charge. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can give you $10,000 to lick their toe for all they care. And then you try, and it's noble when you succeed. And then we shit on you when you fail. And it's a circle. The movie's a circle. Capitalism's a circle. So I laughed at the end of that, making that little mini connection to myself by myself when I saw this movie. That's what I think.
Did Guillermo say that about the capitalism? And I know you said the circle thing.
Actually, he did it. Tim Blake Nelson said it. And by the way, the more I keep talking about this interview, the more I'm reminded by this meme I keep seeing, which is David Lynch saying, they always want you to talk about your movie after you show it, but they don't get it. The film was the talking. And
Yeah.
now that I keep
He's
talking
got to
about
hide
this
saying
interview.
that.
That's what he does, dude.
Anyway,
That's what he
anyway,
does.
No, I've
Yeah.
just seen your film. I have fucking questions, Lynch.
and he's like, I gotta go.
I don't think he knows the answer to any of that shit. I mean, I do like the idea that if you're going to lift that theme, that you're setting a story about capitalism in a total, like, in a circus, like in the figurative word and literal word, that you're trying to say that, like, these people too are just consumed by the idea of being seen and being able to charge money for being seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fun to play with. I just wish it had been hidden a little bit more in the suspense that is associated with this genre.
Yeah, agreed. I think there could have been more suspense in the film on the whole.
Yeah,
think
I mean, there was
story,
also like
there's
certain
stuff
things.
there.
There's certain things that happened in the first half that they kind of abandoned as well, like the storm in the background that was constantly almost following the carnival.
Oh yeah,
And that sort of like that storm building, and then that just kind of went away.
That could have been really fun.
It was. I don't know. The storm was ever present. Did you notice as well? I just one thing I forgot to mention earlier about the cinematography. Like even though these scenes are beautifully lit, almost every scene had a working practical in it somewhere. Be it a torch or a lamp, or like there was always something lit in shot. And I
thought that was really pretty. Or effective is a better word.
Yes.
Especially the outdoor stuff. They had a lot of outdoor stuff, and it was all very well lit and colored. It looked great.
Oh yeah.
And he really shot outside so that you could get the air. You could feel.
Dude, I haven't seen color control like that since like Tim Burton stopped making movies.
And honestly, I'd be really curious to know.
Oh, he hasn't stopped.
How much? I mean, God, has he stopped? Is that official?
No. Dave just wanted me to buzz him.
I didn't, but thanks.
Dave just wanted to be seen, John. He just wanted.
God damn it!
What is your thought? What is your thought? What is it? Okay, so this is Guillermo though. Like, come on, there's something in there that you watched that you were like, yes, Guillermo.
I mean, like I said, I like the way it felt, and I like the way it looked. I think it's interesting that he leaned in this direction. Who said that to him? Ron Perlman said, "I know you like noir. I'm interested because I wouldn't say Kronos or Devil's Backbone or a lot of his early stuff. I wouldn't say it has noir elements. It has. We've talked about it many times. It has mysterious, fable, ghost story elements.
I mean, that might have just been something they discussed on.
Yeah,
you know,
he hadn't made any of these movies. He hadn't made any of these movies at this point. It was the early '90s. I think he literally was. He could have been George R. R. Martin for all that fucking Ron Perlman knew. But like, he loved movies, and these are the movies he loved.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. God damn it! What the fuck was I going to say?
Did you hear
it's
the
definitely
story?
Something to do with the fact that.
Did you hear the story about like where some of this came from? Like why his passion for this became so hard about like
this particular novel?
Yeah, because his father was kidnapped.
What?
His father was kidnapped by Mexican gangs, and the first thing that they said to him was, "Watch out for the psychics." And apparently he went back home, and his mother walked in the living room, and his mother's already sitting there with two of them. And they're like, "Yeah, for a fee, we can tell you where to find your father." And they like had to chase him out of the fucking house. But apparently, yeah, he became fascinated with these people that prey on people's like losses and grief.
Shit.
Yeah, right.
Damn.
That'll break your brain.
That'll get you to the theater. I should have said that. I was like, I didn't. That's cool. I mean, it sucks, but it's cool.
I learned something this week. I won't say who divulged this information, but I thought it was a fun anecdote. Apparently, Guillermo del Toro, this person who knows Guillermo del Toro, was saying that Guillermo like writes like pages and pages and pages of like single spaced character biographies, like from birth, like this is who they are, this is what happened to them up until you see them enter this story.
This is just about people in his own life, right? It's just like everybody he sees.
I mean, these are just every fucking character he writes, apparently, and apparently he gives these to his actors. Apparently, Richard Jenkins in Shape of Water. Apparently, he gave it to Richard Jenkins, and it was like, "Thank you," and he just threw it in the trash.
I bought my own.
It's like,
they should have a backstory off. Like after they wrapped, they had to like read the backstory and see who got it right.
It's just not necessary. Did you guys have any like standout moments that you thought were best performance or most captivating, or are there any other like elements? I feel like we talked about the story quite a bit.
I feel like when Rooney Mara finally found her power in the car, she was like, "I'll do this for you, but I'm done." And
good,
it was that whole thing about I knew how much I could take, and I've reached that point. Like that whole speech for me was like really good, considering she'd been forced to take a back seat to what he was doing the whole time. And I felt like that was a great reclaiming of power for her.
So weird when he
and then he goes and
chased her
kills a
down
bunch
to
of
the train
fucking people.
station and threw her into like the men's bathroom. I thought that was a whole weird.
Yeah, that whole sequence is weird, but
that was
great,
weird.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but did you like it that like you go in this door and then that way is the men's bathroom and you could leave the men's bathroom through a different door, and Rooney Mara with the Schindler's List red jacket is just gonna be going through all of this.
Yeah, I mean the production design was cool. How about you, Jeff? Did you feel any like moments or performances or something we haven't said yet?
You know what I loved? I loved any shot of Bradley Cooper smoking a cigarette with that hat on outside. It was almost always at night. I feel like all of those were shot really well. And also, this guy knows how to shoot a hallway. At some point, there were like a couple times.
God. Like,
This guy knows how to shoot a hallway.
Every single scene in this was like production designed to fuck. The psychiatrist office.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like the wood panels had Rorschach paintings on them.
I still couldn't tell you like the layout of the Rorschach.
No, I'm not kidding. You go back and look. There were actual Rorschachs on the wall.
I do remember the artwork. I couldn't tell you the layout of the room. Every time there was a new camera angle, I'd be like, "Where in the room are we right now?" And I think that added to me because I felt like I was in a fun home. It was great. But what about you? Any shots that stood out?
Probably nothing we haven't said yet.
Any moments where you said, "Yeah, they fucking nailed it."
I did really enjoy, even though I said I agree with you, Dave, it might have been fun to do it through flashbacks and start in present day. I did like when Bradley Cooper was basically a mute. I thought it was really interesting when he showed up at the circus, and for the first several minutes and scenes, he really didn't talk. And it was just him kind of observing and the way that's the circus to me, like the lack of definition and identity that's required to be a member of the circus, the mystery and the mystique that just lives in that world. I thought they were really capturing that. And I was like, I kind of hope he just goes through as a silent observer. I don't know what this movie's about, but I'm kind of hoping some really gross, disgusting shit goes down with Willem Dafoe and these geeks. And it's some really drama with cops and shit. And I hope Bradley is just kind of there looking at
fish.
it.
Yeah.
Somebody fucks
Somebody. Yeah.
So I feel bad for Shape of Water. Shape of Water is a pretty good movie, but they fucked a fish. You know what is crazy in hindsight? That Bradley Cooper, knowing the arc of the Bradley Cooper story, I'm pretty sure before he even said a line, somebody bit the head off a chicken in this movie. Like I don't know what's going on. I don't know who Bradley Cooper is. I think he burned a house down. He ended up on a train, and then he's at a carnival. I can't tell. He could be anybody. He could be a fucking Rockefeller for all I know. And then a guy bites the head off a chicken, and I'm like, what is this movie about? And then once Bradley Cooper got in there, it changed things a little bit.
You know what he wasn't? A piscosexual.
Jesus Christ. Jeff, did Guillermo del Toro say that there was a voiceover and he chose not to use it?
No. He that was like in the development. He was like, noirs have voiceovers, so let's try to not have a voiceover.
Interesting.
Don't you think it would have? Because if Guillermo wanted him to be a liar, and then you believe him, and then he comes back to a liar, and then he accepts that he's a liar, or whatever. Do you think that having the voiceover would be weird for us to follow? Like, if Guillermo doesn't want us to believe him ever, then does it cheapen the voiceover? Do you think some noirs of the past get away with the fact that, like, even though you know it's an untrustworthy narrator, you still are following him. You're on the same page, so it is cool to like hear.
It would have been kind of cool to have the narrator shift, depending on who has the power. Like different characters narrating. Yeah.
Ooh. I want to know. I would love for Rooney Mara to narrate, although in hindsight, it's probably better that she didn't, because every time I saw her, I'd be like, well, anything could happen
when
now.
the power shifts between Bradley Cooper and Cate Blanchett, it would have been great to see her take over the narrative.
The narration.
But coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
The movie gets you thinking. I'm sorry, it gets me thinking.
Yeah, it definitely gets you thinking, and it's definitely beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It is very pretty. Yeah.
All right. I think if we got everything out of this we're going to get.
I guess so. I hope I didn't sound too negative. I wanted a little bit more. I don't know if this worked for me. And I don't know if I agree with you, Dave, about a Best Picture nominee. I don't know if this should have been nominated for a Best Picture. I have not seen most of the other Best Picture stuff.
Definitely from a cinematography, directorial standpoint, I would say yes. From a performance standpoint, yes. So that's 3 categories required for like a Best Picture. But yeah, you're right with the editing, and also I would say screenplay probably lets it down a touch.
Did he write this by himself? Did he adapt this by himself?
He co-wrote it with Kim Morgan, who is now his wife. But that's
what you said.
Married.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope it does well. I hope everybody checks it out and tells us if we're fucking assholes or if we're geniuses.
You're already paying for it, so you may as well watch
it. Please tell us if we're geniuses. Yeah. We would love to know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get at least one of those comments.
You'd be the first. We'd appreciate it. All right, thanks. Well, let's do it. Let's wrap it up with a little what have you been watching, John? You didn't even have to watch a movie this week, so that's pretty great. Dave, what you been watching?
Oh, Netflix. I caught Kimmy, the new Steven Soderbergh film. Yeah.
Oh wow, he had one that went straight to Netflix.
Netflix. I didn't know he had a film either. And I remember hearing.
Wait, is it Netflix or HBO? No, I think it's Netflix.
I've been on HBO every day.
He had that Laundromat one last year or 2 years ago. Meryl Streep.
Basically, this is she's an analyst for a new like Alexa device. It's called Kimmy, and they analyze this when it misinterprets something and like flag it as an error, and that's how the AI improves. And she hears what she thinks is a murder on the recording, and then she's also an agoraphobe, so she can't leave the house because she was an agoraphobe before, and then she was starting to get better, and then COVID hit. And it's really, really clever. This thing just weaves COVID in there. Like, it's present, but it's not a driving part of the story. Like, you see little shots of like the bowl of masks next to the door and stuff like that. Like, you'll see aspects of almost anyone who's like, well, we all went through the pandemic. Like, you'll see aspects of yourself in her character. I feel like this was a really good watch. Again, it's slow, and then it's not.
Interesting.
Like, it takes its time getting there, but when it hits, yeah.
You know what doesn't?
And it's Zoe Kravitz as the lead.
Nice. Okay, I've seen it. I saw this poster.
With the blue hair. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, anyone who has any problems with her casting as Catwoman after seeing this movie, you can go fuck yourself. Yeah. Like, she nails the performance in this.
You know what doesn't talk? You know what doesn't talk about COVID is any other show or movie ever. Like, are they going to just avoid, like, if they're like, and then this character in 1921, and they're going to say, nope, cut. It's cut from the story. Like, no TV show or movie wants to talk about it. So Kimmy's the first.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh. John, what you been watching?
I've been busy as fuck, but I did watch some of that new Murderville show on Netflix with God damn it. What is his name? You guys know him. Will Arnett. Did you hear about the show at all? Where they have like a guest celebrity on that pretends to be another like noir.
Oh, that's right. And they have to solve the murder, but they're not given a script.
Yeah. And they actually are themselves, and they just come in and he's in this like I'm a detective in homicide,
and they have
just,
to
like, play
improv.
themselves
They have to
and-
improv their way through the whole fucking episode.
Yeah, it was
I want to
okay.
watch. I want to watch that so bad. I'm so glad you reminded me of that.
They really don't look at a script ahead of time. They have to guess. They
Do
basically
you
have to
believe
guess.
that? Yeah, I don't know. You know, that's
It
what
would
they
be
say.
really fun.
I
if
mean,
they
I'm
literally
not
have to
saying
guess
that.
their way
I'm
through
not
the
saying they don't
episode.
go back for second takes,
Right.
but
Yeah, it was okay. It was entertaining. Watched some of that. No, I've been watching Fresh Off the Boat, which is
yeah.
pretty
I know of
funny.
that one.
And that's about it. How about you, Jeff?
So I finished the Book of Boba Fett. There was one more episode to come out after our episodes last week.
I can't believe you finished it after you were
What do you
very
mean
upset.
not?
I saw that Dave.
The
I
episodes
saw
were
that
good.
Dave gave Jeff his own episode called the Boba Fett rant on our feed.
Great. It was fine. The ending was fine. It was so fine, man. It was fucking fine. Yeah.
Again, he didn't even get the last scene in his own show.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, why? And as soon as Baby Yoda tapped the windshield, and I was like, I bet you this is nothing. I bet you they're just gonna fly in circles.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like okay, and literally it's just Baby Yoda and Mandalorian joyriding through the Boba Fett storyline.
Did it leave you with like a very obvious season 2 hook?
I honestly, I hope they take a year off. I hope.
Or
they
do
just
you
give
think
Mando
they heard
next
your
season.
rant
No,
and they're
I
going to hang it up on the wall?
I think he's going to turn up
yeah.
because we've got Ahsoka coming. We've got Obi-Wan coming. I think he's definitely going to turn up through the Ahsoka storyline.
I think he's
and
definitely coming back.
I feel like they're intertwined now.
He'll be in the Mandalorian.
I think he's
storyline.
definitely coming back because Disney made $22 billion in the first quarter this year.
Yeah, their subscriber base went through the roof.
They had 12 million more subscribers over the past quarter. Are you kidding me? $22 billion. Jeff, your rant apparently doesn't mean anything because those people are making money. They're making fucking money, dude. Oh.
I mean, you know what? I liked Encanto. I liked Luca. So good for them. What can I say?
There you go. I still
It's
need to
just-
see all of that. But maybe not Boba
You know
Fett,
what?
but I need to see those movies.
Like, you know when you have a friend of yours that was like a really cool guy, and then you find out they're like a dentist, and you're like, not what I expected, but at least they're really well off. I feel like that's what Boba Fett was. It's like, they really kind of fucked that character up, but it's great for business.
So yeah, the shareholders are very happy.
One day we're gonna get young, hot, fucking gunslinging Boba Fett, and they're just gonna ignore the prequels. Just ignore the prequels. Just please ignore the prequels and go back. We don't need.
Why does
anybody
that
else
show
in the-
even exist with Mandalorian in the universe? Though I didn't even know it existed until you talked about it last week.
Mandalorian stole the
why?
story. It stole that should have been the Boba Fett show. In fact, a lot of people said that when it
Okay,
came
we're
out.
not
They're
going to
like,
circle back on this again.
Okay,
I know
we can't do this. Okay,
it's
anyway.
a mountain you can't get over.
They wanted to do it after they thought they wanted that shot of him climbing out of the pit because they talked about it in Parks and
I gotta
Recreation.
hate that. Like I expected way more of a battle there. Like that was so
That's
easy.
the opening of the show. He climbs out.
It actually opened. It didn't open with a battle like Dave was suggesting. It opened with him as Jonah in Jonah's Ark. No, yeah, right, where he's in the whale.
Yeah,
Is that the whale?
dude.
It opened with him where he was basically like, I'm in the whale, but I have to cut my way out, but I'm too old now. It's like
Shut the fuck up. Are you serious? What's the name of that thing, Dave? What's the name of that beast
The
in the desert?
Sarlacc?
The
Sarlacc.
Sarlacc. Yeah. Yeah, this ominous beast where you'll like die over 1,000 years as you're slowly digested. I mean, no, you'll die of old age, but still, like.
I have 1,000 years. That gives him a long time to try to cut your way out of a sarlacc.
Well, that's the thing. He just climbed
thought
the fuck
when
out
I saw
of it.
Jedi, I thought when I saw Jedi, when they went down there, they're dead. But instead, they have time to reflect and get into the.
All right, we have gotten way off track here. Like,
film fans, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed our talk about Nightmare Alley. And if you like this movie, Guillermo del Toro produced a film that we talked about last week. Well, he produced Antlers, which we saw, came out in 2021, but we talked about it last week. Give it up to Guillermo. He's a good guy.
and if you like Jeff's rant, you might want to consider purchasing his spoken word album.
If you want to produce, that would be great. Just ask your family and friends for money.
Where it's
and I'll
like,
be there on day one.
I hate every fucking thing that's on television.
I mean,
Dude.
that's the only show I was watching. I'm sure there's other things. See you guys next week.